Testing, testing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Can y'all hear me? Goose Chasers. We are back with another episode of Goose Chasing. Apologize, it's only me. It's a solo round today. We're going to talk a little bit about some solo hunting, solo filming. So it's kind of an ironic little thing that we got going on there. But apologize once again. We have technical difficulties, and Dino and I cannot connect today. So this one's coming to you live from Nashville, Tennessee, with just your boy David, and that's okay. Dino's got a lot of work to do today anyway, so it was we were trying to cram it all in, but we are going to get you a podcast that is promised every Wednesday, and we are here to fulfill that promise. So it is the beginning of April already. How about that? Is 2024 not flying by or what? It is ridiculous. Time flies when you're having fun or just when you're getting older. And we're all getting a little bit older here, but it's kind of crazy that we're already inching our way. Well, a lot of turkey seasons have already started in the South. You got gobblers going down in Florida, some Osceolas. I personally like to call them the areola turkey because I'm 6. But you got gobblers. I seen gobblers going down on the boat with the bone collector crew in Georgia. I seen gobblers going down with some of the Real Tree crew down in Alabama. So I mean, 'tis the season, folks. It is here, and I'm getting jacked up with the excitement of turkey season and how it is coming to fruition very, very quickly. Honestly, after this deer season being a little bit tougher for me personally, and honestly for us as a crew at TAGNBRAG, I am ready to chase something. I am ready to put the hunter skills to the test. I am ready to carry out all the duties as a hunter. I'm ready to carry out, just get in the woods. I'm ready to wake up with the world in the morning. I'm ready to communicate with the jibbies, even though I'm really not that good at calling turkeys at all. But I am interested, and I'm very eager to try again for this year. I've got a lease down here in Tennessee. It's only 25 acres, but it is surrounded by some great habitat for not only deer but turkey as well. And I was down at the property a couple days ago and started getting some birds on camera, so I wanted to shift some cameras around. I had a couple of my trail cameras in the thicket still, and that was kind of still from late season deer hunting to try and see what was on the property, to see what was using it, what was bedding in there and whatnot. And I shifted the cameras now to the outskirts of the property, more of the open areas, the paths, the areas where the birds can strut, maybe where they're going to scratch around a little bit. And lo and behold, the birdies are present. The birdies are present, and I am fired up. And when I was down there last week, shifting cameras around and stuff, I was shooting some content for Moultrie. I was shooting some content for Code Blue, just some of our, partners. And I like to give myself a day a week where I go out and create, because it's a lot to sit behind the computer day in and day out and create and kind of finalize a lot of this content and make sure that all the social medias that we have content flowing on them on a daily basis. It's for an outdoorsman like me, for somebody who thrives outside and who needs that outside energy and that connection with nature on a regular basis. That part of our business is very difficult. It's very necessary, but it's very difficult for me to do day in and day out and not get frustrated and not lose my creative brain, my creative mind, not lose my mind, period, because it's just, sitting back behind a computer, although, being self-taught editing and kind of creating myself or being a creative myself and that being one of the main avenues for me. It's a necessary evil, but it gets very difficult at times when I am so motivated and inspired by the outdoors, when I'm so when my energy thrives when I'm outside, when that energy bounce and I can feed off the energy that, that God's given me and just nature in general, and the unknown and just the different days that you're out there. It just, I need that in my life. So I try to pick a day each week where I dedicate my work or my work day to that, where I can get out and film some stuff, where I can get out and, just be in nature, learn things. And last week when I was down there shifting cameras and stuff like that, I had a couple ideas pop in my head. And as a self-filmer, and we'll get into this a little bit more, but as a self-filmer, turkey hunting is very, very difficult. Number one, you're on the ground. You're eye level with these birds on the ground, and self-filming requires some sort of movement. Like to capture and to document a good hunt on film, it requires some sort of movement. It just does. So to be on the ground at eye level and have to be required essentially to move a little bit in order to capture what I personally want to capture, it's very difficult. And especially when you're up against an animal whose main superpower is their eyesight. That makes it extremely difficult. So what I wanted to do was I wanted to just create a couple spots on this property where I could at least go set up and conceal myself the best way possible, because it's not always easy to just run and gun as a self-filmer turkey hunting. It's not easy to run and gun turkey hunting in general, but you add the camera to the mix and it almost makes it a completely different sport. It almost makes it a totally different ball game when you're really trying to document and capture that stuff on film. And sometimes you have to simplify things. We have like the 4th arrow monopod with the monopod stake is a huge, huge tool for us, because that allows the main camera to be on a monopod on a stake that literally goes right into the ground. Doesn't matter where you are. You could pound that thing into the dirt. It's going to be sturdy. It's going to be stable. It's going to sit right next to you, and you can set that up fairly quickly. Now, second angles in turkey hunting, huge importance as well, because those stationary angles from different sides of you, facing you, behind you, over the shoulder, wherever it may be, those can help put together the story and just give you a different perspective. And you can set those up, turn them on, and allow them to capture the hunt in its entirety without having to move to adjust those cameras. So that certainly helps. But getting back to this property, I wanted to set up a couple spots that I could literally get in. Like, I already have a little man-made blind built. There's a lot of cedar trees on this property, so I made them under a couple little cedar trees, and then I surrounded it with like cedar branches. So I'm a cedar bush in there. And I got birds coming on, like walking down these paths and in these openings on camera that are right in front of where I created these little ambushes, we'll say. And I feel like it's going to fare me very well, because it's going to allow me a little bit of movement. It's going to allow me to capture it on film and try and get it done myself. And I'll probably have to use a decoy setup. But nonetheless, the setups that I have are deep into the shadows and out on the paths and out in these little openings. The sunlight hits it. So I'm like 10, 15 yards deep into these cedar thickets under the shadows, and I literally trimmed lanes. Like, I spent hours trimming a couple lanes out from under, had to clear a lot of debris in order to set myself up. But it's that work that I did, last week that I think is going to put me in a pretty solid position once turkey season starts. And like I said, using a decoy setup out in one of these openings or out on one of these paths, if the turkey sees them, they're going to be far less interested in me, allowing me to move even a little bit more in order to document the whole thing and get it on film. And it's like, there's a lot of people out there that are like, why do you got to film? Why do you do this? Because I like to film it. Because I like to show people what happened. Because when I was younger, growing up, and I would watch outdoor film, I was very intrigued with outdoor TV and outdoor film, and then I compared it to the experiences that I got as a young man in the woods, whether I was with my dad, Uncle Jay, by myself. Once I could start hunting by myself, it didn't matter, but I always literally saw my hunts through a lens. I saw my hunts, through the lens of myself, but I'm like, how cool would it be to be able to share each and every hunt that I go on? Because hunting is so unpredictable. Like, obviously one day, turkey hunting specifically, you could go out there, you could hear no gobbles, you could have no action. The next day, you go out, you hear hundreds of gobbles, you got 3 to 4 gobblers coming in at once, and the woods blows up into something that is such a spectacular moment. How would you not want to share something like that? If you could document that on film, whether you share it like with a YouTube or a social media platform or whatever, or whether you just have it for your kids or your grandkids or anybody else in your family that wants to come along that hunt with you, like, why would you not want to go back and watch every moment of that hunt? And so many of us can go back in our memories and watch that hunt, whether it was recorded or not, because that's what hunting does to you. It ingrains that moment into your head so specifically and so drastically and so detailed that some of my earliest hunts, my first deer, my second deer, with a bow, all this stuff, like, I can literally go back in my memory and watch that hunt over step by step and feel it, feel the emotions, feel all that stuff. So that's really what drove us and me specifically to the filming side of things, because I want more people to experience that. And they're not going to get to, if I don't take them personally, then they're not going to get to experience that. And I do like taking a lot of new people out whenever I can, given the opportunity. But technology these days and the internet and social media allows us to share these moments with people that we've never met before, with people that we may never meet ever and we've never seen before. And that's powerful. So if the chase has made such an impact on me, then yeah, I'm going to take a little bit of extra effort to film what has made such an impact on me, whether I'm filming it myself, I'm filming Dean, Uncle Jay, my dad, doesn't matter. Filming that experience and documenting that has become the most important part of our hunt. I'm not saying that it's got to be everybody's hunt. I'm not saying that everybody's got to be that way. Everybody's got to take a camera to the woods. But for us and our vision and our goals, it has become the most important part of the hunt. Case in point, Dean and I went through this whole whitetail season. The entire season we went through, we didn't kill a buck. We didn't kill a buck. This is what we do for a living. This is what we, and not, it wasn't for a lack of opportunities. It wasn't for a lack of trying or lack of effort, but we didn't kill a buck, okay? However, we documented that entire process from start to finish of our season. And even before that, our footage and our content is a forever evolving and forever flowing thing. It's a never-ending journey. You can go back to our first initial pieces of content 9, 10, 11 years ago, and you can literally watch that from then all the way through now. We've got thousands of videos on YouTube. You can watch it then through now, and it's a continuous stream of our hunting experiences. Good, bad, ugly, indifferent, doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. We're documenting it. We're going to show you. That's just how we roll. Because who am I to say that a hunt that maybe I didn't see anything or I didn't get that much out of, that somebody else can't get something out of that hunt? Somebody else can't pull something and say, oh man, I wish I should do that, or I should utilize that tactic, or I should put my stand in a spot like that, or I should set up a ground blind in a spot like that, or whatever the case may be. Who am I to say that a viewer is not going to gain something, a piece of knowledge from that? I can't. So that's why we film everything. We document it all. We don't set anything up. It's real. It's how it happens. That's how we want it, because we want people to experience this as we do because of the value that it's brought us. That's why. So I'm set up here in Tennessee. I feel good. Opening day is less than 2 weeks away. Turkey season. I'm fired up. We got a lot of cool things planned for this upcoming turkey season. Actually, Dean is going to be down here in Nashville for the turkey season opener. So we're going to get to hunt opening weekend together, which I'm extremely excited about. He's going to get a tag. And I mean, yeah, there's plenty of birds down where we're at. Uncle Jay's got birds up where he's at, which is exciting. They started popping up on camera this past week. And then we're going to be up in New York as a group mid-May. And I'm so excited for that. My dad, Uncle Jay, Dean, myself, our buddy Chris from down here, and our cousins David and David will all be up there. It's our Rut Week crew and our last year's Turkey Week crew. We're going up to camp. We're gonna lock the doors, button down the hatches. No females allowed for 5 days, and we're gonna turkey hunt. We're gonna help Dino get the land together for deer season, try and knock off a bunch of the land management tasks off the list. And I'm fired up. It's so fun to be in camp with everyone and just enjoying that time. You know, we usually have 3 to 4 different groups of guys that are going out and trying to get it done, you know, with the turkeys. And then season closes, or the day ends at noon, because that's legally when you can hunt till. So you've got 6, close to 7 hours after that of daylight to, work some ground, get on the tractor, mow some paths. We have blinds, elevated blinds to move, and there's just so many things to do up there to start preparing already for next deer season. And I'm just looking forward to getting my hands dirty and being in camp for those 5 or 6 days and, documenting the whole thing, bringing you guys along with us. And it's the tight-knit crew that we grew up hunting with. Last year, our turkey weekend up there, we got 2 birds. Dean got one on opening day. Uncle Jay got the snowbird on the last day that we were there. And honestly, the weather sucked. Like, it sucked last year for us. So hopefully, looking forward to being a little bit later in May this year, that the weather will cooperate a little bit more. But the year before that was really our first turkey year up there. And typically up on our property in New York, like, the birds will be gobbling in the roost pretty good, or they'll, if they're not gobbling in the roost when they fly down, you'll typically get some talkers. And honestly, a lot of times it seems like they talk pretty good till 8:30, maybe 9 o'clock. And then for whatever reason, the mid-morning gobble and the mid-morning, like, talking back and forth, it's a little bit less up there than I've experienced, like, down here in Tennessee or in Ohio. And so it gets a little bit tough mid-morning up there. But I remember 2 years ago, talk about a self-filming mission. We hunted the morning, or we hunted a couple days, and we were close. I'm trying to think if Dean shot a bird that year first or not. I think he might have. I think that was the year that he shot, that we were together on the second day of the season, and he shot one. I missed the next one. But anyway, Uncle Jay, we had the whole crew in camp, and we hunted the morning, My dad ended up going to work. Dean ended up actually going to Hogan's to work for a little bit. And Uncle Jay and I were just like, well, we're just going to let's split up and see if we can double our odds. Self-filming's tough. But I literally took 2 GoPros, and I had my main camera in my bag. I had my bag on my back, but I'm just like, you know what? I'm going to go cover some ground, and I'm going to go call every 15 minutes or so, sit up against a tree, move 100 yards, 150 yards, whatever, and call again. And we had birds fired up all morning that morning. I remember Dean and I had one bird in particular that literally circled us almost 270 degrees, gobbling his face off. We caught one little glimpse of him like 60, 70 yards away, and that was it. But the action was hot because of how much the birds were talking that morning. So we go out for the afternoon, and it got a little bit warmer, it got a little bit windy, so it was kind of tough to hear. But I'm walking the woods, I'm in the hardwoods out by the swamp, and I'm calling, nothing. Sit down for 15-20 minutes, call, nothing. Get up, move another couple 100 yards, call, nothing. And finally it was like 11:30, and I'm like, I'm going to make one more move. I'm going to get, another 100, 150 yards up. We've got a gas line that runs through our property, and it actually runs through our property in 2 different sections. So I'm on the upper, like the high section of our property, and I'm approaching the gas line, and I'm like, you know what? I'm in the hemlock, so similar to my setup down here in the cedars, like I'm in the shadows, but when it's a sunny day, and when you look out into the gas line, it's like pure blinding sun, like super bright. So I'm like, you know what? I could see that up through the woods a couple 100 yards ahead of me. I'm like, I'm going to get up within shooting range, within 30 yards or so of that gas line opening, and I'm just going to set up under one of these hemlock trees. I'm going to set the cameras up, and for the last 20 minutes, like, this is where I'm going to end my morning. So I did that. I crept up there. I got a pretty solid spot. It was a little bit farther from the gas line than I was hoping for, but I had one lane right in front of me at probably 30, 35 yards. And I'm like, if I call anything down off of this hill, and they come down the gas line, I mean, that's a pretty solid and wide open shot. And I had a new gun that I just bought, the Charles Daly. I called it the Chuck Daly. And I love this thing. I got this thing for like $260. It's bottomland camo and like olive green. The thing looks flawless. I mean, the thing looks flawless. And I was so proud of this thing. I don't really know why, but no sight on it, nothing. Just the iron sights that it came with, and just me and Chuck Daly going on a run and gun turkey mission through the swamps of New York. It's a beautiful thing. So I sit down, I hit the call, and I hear one like faint gobble up the hill. And I'm like, oh, okay. So I hit the call one more time, nothing. And I just sit there, and I'm just taking in the last part of the morning. I mean, we literally have like 16, 17 minutes left of legal, and I'm taking it in. It's a beautiful day. Like I said, the breeze was picking up a little bit, so it's warming up, but it's just like the perfect spring morning. And all of a sudden, out of the corner of my eye, I catch movement, and coming down the gas line from the top is this friggin' gobbler. And he's not strutting or nothing. Wasn't like I'm assuming he was the bird that initially answered that call. And he's just, I think he was just walking down the gas line like, hey, I'm coming to look for the call. I'm not going to answer anything. I'm not talking right now, but I'm coming to look for whatever hen was making that noise. And so I just let him come. And I had a GoPro set up behind me on my right over my shoulder facing that gas line, and I had one set up to my left that was kind of facing down into the hardwoods to my right. So I'm just basically documenting my journey at this point. Like, I'm not going to get any close-ups on a main camera with the kill or anything like that. I didn't put that stress on myself, but I am just I'm just locked in the moment, and I'm just documenting it at this point, letting the GoPros kind of do the work. And he comes down the hill, and as soon as he gets into that opening at like 30, 35 yards, he kind of like stops for a second. His head was up, and boom, I freaking let him have it and dusted this thing with the Chuck Daly. I mean, dusted him. At 35 yards, I was thoroughly impressed, number one, with the pattern on that gun. I had shot it a couple times already, so I knew it was patterning pretty good, but that was probably the longest shot that I've made in the turkey woods, and that thing folded and didn't move after that. And not only was I impressed with that, the iron sights, just the whole ability and the calmness of the moment and the trigger pull, but what an awesome hunt. I grabbed the GoPro over my right shoulder. I run out there and grab the turkey. I'm extremely excited. And once again, like, is it the best filmed hunt ever? No, it's not. But it allowed you and anybody who's willing to watch to come along the journey with me. It started at 5:36 in the morning. We had a great morning. Birds were talking, and then we went on a run and gun mission, and I was just like, I'm going to take y'all with me. And that's what I did, and I'm so pumped that I was able to capture that, because was that my first New York turkey? It might have been. I'm trying to think. I think that was my first New York bird. And it just, for me, it was just such an awesome moment. I mean, it was right up against the bell, 11:45. Literally, I got out to the turkey, I looked at my phone, and it was 11:45, 15 minutes before the bell. And he was done. The hunt couldn't have been any better. It was just the solitude of that for me, and cruising through, the woods and kind of running, gunning on my own, and just, going to find him, basically. Going to find him, and I got to a point where my call enticed him enough to not, he didn't come in aggressively, like I said, but he came in, he gave me an opportunity, and I made the best of it. And I would not trade that hunt for the world at all. But it's those moments like that I would never trade the camera for anything. And that turkey could have come in, something could have messed up or happened. I could have missed them or something, and I still would have been grateful that I had the courage to carry the camera and bring y'all along with me, because I'm not a perfect human being. Nobody listening to this podcast right now is a perfect human being. And the critics, online and stuff like that, and the trolls that are in the comments, I like to call them the faceless trolls, because most of them don't even have profile pictures, that leave just nasty comments and stuff like that on hunting videos like this. But like those type of people, you guys wouldn't have anything to watch had I not, carried the camera with me, and had I not been willing to document it, and had I not been willing to bring you along the journey. So for us, as a group collectively, like, that's the most proud part of our season, that's what we do. I mean, if we didn't document this stuff, Tag and Brag wouldn't exist today. And then I'm literally carrying this turkey over my shoulder, and I'm walking back to camp. And as I'm walking out, while I have my GoPro running and just expressing my excitement, my gratitude, thanking God for the opportunity, like, I'm walking down the gas line, and I turn to my right, and out of the corner of my eye, I see one of our target bucks for the next upcoming season, one of his sheds. Dean had found his other side, I think, a couple months prior, and literally it was within 100 yards of where I shot this turkey, and I would have never been there hadn't I been on a little run and gun mission and been doing all that stuff. So not only did I get the turkey, I matched up a set of a buck that actually Uncle Jay ended up killing that upcoming fall. We call him Jamario Jr. And so now we have that whole story. We've got the buck hanging in camp. We've got both of his sheds. We've got the turkey fan in camp. Like, just that whole thing coming full circle is so awesome. And like, it's the courage to be able to document that, to actually really truly show the story and not just tell it, that means so much to me, and that means so much to us. And that's what's so, I don't know, different about like what we do. And like, we're all hunters here. We all have the same passions and stuff like that, but we get it all the time. There's a video that we posted on YouTube and Facebook, actually, that of a couple years ago, of me self-filming. Once again, I mean, most of what we do is self-filming. Even my dad and Uncle Jay, like, they're carrying all this equipment to the woods. They're, hustling and doing all this stuff, all this extra work, just to document what they experience in the woods, so that we can bring all of you guys together and along this journey together collectively. And so it's pretty amazing that they've kind of adopted that. And now, we got Cuzzy, we got our buddy Chris, and everybody's documenting this stuff. And once again, this is our prerogative. I'm not saying that everybody needs to film and document their hunts, but it means something to us because of the meaning that hunting has to us, the values that it's brought. So being able to share that with other people that we know, that we don't know, whoever's willing to watch, is important, because who knows who it can influence to come into this sport? Who knows who it can influence to all of a sudden get some curiosity about, I wonder what that's about. I wonder what that feels like. I kind of want to know what that feels like. So maybe I'll go and try it for myself, or maybe I'll start asking these guys some questions and see if if it makes sense to get into it. But going back to it, we have a hunt that I was on a couple years ago in Ohio. This is a deer hunt, self-film. Literally, our number one target buck comes in behind me. I had a shot, split second to my right. I didn't think that the camera was on him. I drew as soon as he gave me that opportunity, or I got locked back in with my draw. He turned and started heading away from me. He stopped again in a thicket, and then he ended up coming out, and literally, I was just late. I was late. The camera had me a little bit late. My release, I swung and missed a couple times at my D-loop, trying to get connected to my string so that I could draw on this deer. And when I finally drew on this deer, right as I got my bow back for the second time, mind you, he's walking broadside, and he literally turns and walks straight away from me. And literally, I watched them walk through the hardwoods straight away from me as far as I could see. It was in the moment, it was extremely painful in the moment for me, because for a number of different reasons. It was a couple days prior to our rut week. So going into camp for rut week with that momentum would have been unbelievable. It had also been, and it still has been, multiple years since I've tagged an Ohio buck. And I had an opportunity right in front of me. What I thought was he was going to continue to walk. He was kind of not quite at a 45-degree angle, but he was walking like a little slight quartering away, but mainly broadside to me. And so I thought he was going to keep continuing, because I had a couple scrapes out to my right, and I thought he may just go try and hit one of those scrapes. But it was just one of those days where it wasn't meant to be. He hit that. He literally had that sixth sense. As soon as I got my bow back into full draw position, he turned, walked straight away from me. There was nothing I could do. He got into a thicket, and then once he got out of that thicket onto the other side, I watched them walk for probably 100 yards through the hardwoods. I threw a couple grunts at him, but he didn't respond to it. And it was tough. I mean, it was brutal. Like, I had already had a couple opportunities that season that had fallen through, so that was kind of salt in the wounds for me personally as a hunter. But put this hunt out online and like get absolutely ruined for it. Like, put down the camera. If you weren't so worried about the camera, you would have had the deer. Like, if you were a real hunter and you were actually worried about filling your freezer, then the camera wouldn't matter. You YouTube hunters are ruining the sport for us. And it's like, hold on a second. Like, first of all, ruining what for you? for anyone. How is me documenting my hunt and having the humility to put my fuck up out on the internet ruining anything for anyone? How? How is that ruining anything? Just because it's my prerogative to document this stuff because of the values that it's brought me and my willingness to share that with anybody that it can bring value to, how is that ruining anything? I'm not sitting here and saying everybody's got to go out and document their hunts, otherwise they're a nobody in the hunting world. I'm not sitting here saying if you don't shoot big deer or whatever, this, that, and the other thing, like if you don't have the success that I have or that I've had in the past, that you are any bit below or above me in the hunting world. Like, I'm simply trying to document this stuff so that other people can enjoy. Also, showing that allows other people to say, oh, I fucked that hunt. I fucked a hunt up in October too. I fucked a hunt up in November. I missed a buck at point blank range. Hey, you know what? It's okay. That's okay. It's one of my least favorite sayings, but that's bow hunting. Unfortunately, sometimes, a lot of times, you got to learn the hard way. And yeah, if I wasn't self-filming in that instance, and I wasn't so focused on getting the deer on camera and capturing the hunt to the best of my abilities, would I have had a better opportunity at that deer? Yeah, I still had to make the shot at the end of the day. I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, if I wasn't filming, that deer would have been dead. Just like all the other YouTube critics out there. Oh, if you weren't filming, you would have killed that deer. Well, I would have had a better opportunity. I'd have been a little bit more timely in my approach, but is there any guarantees in that? No. What if he ducks the string? What if I pull the shot? Like, what if? There's a lot of variables that can happen. What if I clip a branch? Like, so just because the camera's there or not there doesn't guarantee that that deer goes down or not, but that's not the point of the video. You know, like that wasn't the point of the video. The point of the video was to sit, like, okay, you can watch it and you can learn things. What did I do? First of all, I should have been more ready for the first shot that he gave me at 32 yards off to my left. That's what I learned from it. I should have killed him right there before he even got to the opportunity, the second opportunity that I may or may not have had. Like, I should have killed him. I should have been ready to kill him right there, but I'm self-filming. The deer comes from behind me. I've got to wrap the tree arm all the way around my right side just to get him on film. So was I completely ready for that shot? No. And if I don't have a camera in my hands, is that shot, like, is it taken? I probably take the shot right there as opposed to waiting. But that's not how it happened, and that's not how it was meant to happen. It wasn't meant to be that, excuse me. It wasn't meant to be for me that day for whatever reason, and I'm okay with that. But how does documenting any of that ruin hunting? Like, how does anybody that's willing to, document this stuff and put it out on YouTube and put it out online? I mean, y'all are watching it for a reason. You found it, you're commenting on the video, you're watching it, like you're looking for hunting content. You're trying to get immersed in the same things that we are all passionate about. So how is that ruining it? Why? Because I didn't kill the deer? Well, I got a news flash for you. If you haven't botched a shot, if you haven't been in a situation where it was maybe put on a silver platter and you know what? You didn't come out victorious. You didn't come out successful. If you haven't been in that scenario, then you haven't hunted enough. Like, you just don't have enough experience to be even making that comment, because there ain't nobody perfect that's listening to this podcast, including the guy who's recording it right now. And I don't claim to be, I don't want to be, but especially in the whitetail world and especially in the bow hunting world, there is no such thing as perfection. So, hey, just enjoy the moment with me. Just slap me on the ass and say, go get them. You know, that shit happens. It's happened to you. It's happened to me. It ain't going to be the last time it happens to me. But I'm not going to shy away from filming anything, and I'm certainly not going to shy away from showing any of this stuff just because I fucked something up. Look at the Kansas hunt last year. Dean was with me. Fucking 5 days of some of the best hunting that we had all season. And we got closer and closer and closer to getting it done every single day. And finally, on the last day, on that last afternoon that we were there, the opportunity presents itself. And what happens? I pull the shot, I hit a branch, sent the arrow flying. It didn't even come close to the deer. And what could have been a perfect storybook ending to ride off into the sunset with wasn't. It wasn't. But I'm not going to sit here and take all 5 of those hunts away from you guys just because I didn't make it happen at the end of it. That doesn't even make any sense. That doesn't even make any sense. So it's just the humility of being able to show that stuff, and you just don't know who you can be helping or influencing or making feel a little bit better. God forbid I don't post another big buck on our story or another hero shot or whatever. Sorry. Hey. Sorry. Would I have loved to have been doing that? Yeah. Would I have loved to have been holding a 160 plus inch deer in Ohio that would have easily been my biggest buck at the time? Yeah. Going into rut week, holding that rack, bringing that rack up into camp and rolling off of that mojo with the rest of the crew. You think I wouldn't have wanted that? Are you shitting me? But I'm human. It is what it is. It's those fails, those fuck-ups aren't going to stop me from filming. They're not going to stop me from documenting this stuff. It's not going to stop Dean, my dad, Uncle Jay, any of us from documenting this stuff, because documenting it is the most important thing. Because every time out there isn't a successful hunt. So documenting the whole journey, documenting everything along the way, that is the most important thing. Why wouldn't it be? Think about it. Why wouldn't it be? If we were riding off of just successful hunts off this past year, business wouldn't be doing very good. It just wouldn't be. But our viewership grew by almost 8 million views this year as opposed to last year, and we didn't kill shit. We just took you along the journey. Like, sometimes it's that simple. Sometimes it's that simple. So, unfortunately, we got to deal with some of these critics and the YouTube trolls and the keyboard warriors commenting on some of this bullshit or commenting with some of their bullshit. But ultimately, you got to sit back and realize, like, for me, I got to sit back and realize, like, what we're doing and the value that it's bringing. It's not only bringing us value, but it's bringing other viewers value as well. And we're going to keep doing it. So, that's all I know. Just a little rant for this Wednesday morning or whenever you take in this podcast. But we got some amazing things coming down the pipeline. Obviously, we've got turkey season coming up. I just explained that to you guys and what we've got going on there. So we'll have a lot of great turkey content coming. Food plot season is just after that. But we got some brand new partners on board as well. And we'll be announcing those here in the near future. And I'm very excited about some of this stuff. We also have we've got a new live show that we're going to be doing on Wednesday nights on YouTube, on Facebook, and hopefully TikTok as well. But we're going to be doing some live events that are going to be very interactive, that are going to look at some viral hunting content, go through some of, what do we call it? Well, we're just going to go through some cool trail camera stuff. We're going to go through some viral hunting content. We're going to go through some camo confessionals. We're going to talk about tree stand snacks. We're going to talk about like all this stuff. It's just going to be a way for Dean and I to, get back together and interact a little bit, because we live 500 miles apart now, and it's going to be another way to give back to you all who give so much to us, and we are so grateful for and appreciate. So if you don't already, subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok, and subscribe to our Spotify, Apple Music, or wherever you get your podcast. Subscribe to us on there so that you can stay up to date with every podcast launching Wednesday. And thank you guys for spending a little bit of time with me here this morning or this afternoon, whenever you're taking this in. And hopefully, if your turkey season hasn't started already, hopefully that is a successful thing and you guys are looking forward to that. And drop us a line on any of our social medias. If not, we'll see you right back here next Wednesday for another episode of Goose Chasing, y'all. Can't thank you enough for listening week in and week out. We love you. God bless.